I wonder how many of you listening have a garden? If so, do you think it makes a difference to your sense of well-being during this time of social distancing? I live in an apartment in a city, and I imagine having a garden must be a wonderful thing. Not only because it gives you a few extra square meters of space to wander around in, but also because you get a connection with nature, which probably keeps you feeling positive. When I was growing up, gardening was often considered a hobby for older people, but even before the COVID-19 pandemic, gardening had begun to experience a renaissance among young people, especially food growing, as millennials and Gen Z moved towards sustainable zero-waste practices. Reports coming out of the UK, as well as the US and Canada, have shown that because of the pandemic, there's been a big increase in interest in gardening, and in some American states garden centers have been declared essential businesses and allowed to remain open, although sadly this hasn't been the case in the UK. The reasons for this surge in the popularity of this pastime are probably many. Let's look at a few of them. Firstly, our choice of leisure activities are suddenly restricted to what we can do in our own homes. People who would have spent time shopping, at the gym, or in a pub suddenly have to find new ways to spend their time, so caring for their garden suddenly goes from being a chore to a fun way to spend an hour of your time. Secondly, fear of food shortages makes us keen to provide for ourselves where possible. In World War II, the UK, US, Canada and Australia were encouraged to dig for victory and convert flower beds and lawns into victory gardens to grow fruit and vegetables. Food was even grown in public parks and schools. Although we're not really faced with critical food shortages yet, the desire to prepare just in case we are in the future is natural, and many people are recalling how important these victory gardens were in helping feed people during that time of crisis. What's more, taking care of a garden is a great stress reliever. The act of planting, digging, watering, weeding and nurturing your garden is a calming activity that has an effect like meditation. You feel present, focused and in a flow state, which is great for reducing your anxiety. Finally, lots of people feel that COVID-19 is a consequence of our disrespect of our planet. The focus on big industrial growth over the past few generations has caused a lot of damage to our environment, so maybe tending a garden is a small, personal way of healing a tiny bit of the damage. Now, did you notice the words I used to present the 4 reasons people might turn to gardening during the COVID-19 pandemic? The words were linking words to signal order: firstly, secondly, what's more, and finally. Some other words I could have used are first, second, in the first place, in the second place, also, in addition, lastly, last but not least and ultimately. Okay everyone, that's it for today's episode. Thank you for listening to Learn English from Home. Please stay safe everyone.